Hello, and welcome to our course. You can call me Professor Snow. This video is just for you to get to know my face, how to get in touch with me, and what you need to do to get started this semester. This is a course in economics. Economics is the study of human behavior in the context of exchange relationships. We have seen that order can emerge among people. Patterns of behavior are observed even though no one designs those patterns of behavior. Those patterns are easy to take for granted, and we usually don't even notice them. In economics, we study the things that people don't usually notice, and those things that people usually take for granted, things that are mundane. Economists see a marvel in the mundane, especially in markets. We're going to be studying macroeconomics. Macroeconomics has a lot of different definitions. Some of you are going to be in my intro macroeconomics course, and some of you are going to be in my intermediate macroeconomics course. This is a very interesting and confusing time to be studying macroeconomics. GDP has fallen dramatically and then come back up. Unemployment was the highest that we have ever seen since the Great Depression, but then it's gone back down. But if people do go to work, then they might get sick, so we were glad that they were unemployed. The government has injected a ton of money into the economy. Is that going to lead to inflation? How should the government respond? Is it possible for the government to respond in a way that we can all agree upon? And then, which government should respond? Should it be the federal government, the state government, the county government, the city government? How can we have a good democratic conversation about what should be done? These are all important topics that we will talk about in this course. For now, I think it's important to simply say that we will talk about these things, We will try to practice what a good conversation ought to be like. As an economist, I pay attention to exchanges. Economics is the study of human behavior within the context of exchange relationships. And a conversation is a kind of an exchange. It's an exchange of sympathy, of approval. When I pay attention to you when you're talking, I'm saying, I approve of you. If you say something that someone else does not approve of, that person might stop paying attention to you, or they might get angry or walk away or write a long Facebook post in response. In this class, we're going to talk about some delicate topics. Macroeconomics is essentially about how the government and banks and other institutions might change their behavior or intervene into the marketplace, and how that affects all of us. In other words, macro is basically politics. And politics can be a good thing as long as we talk approvingly with one another. Think about Mr. Rogers saying, "Hello there, neighbor," or Louis Armstrong singing, "Friends shaking hands," saying, "How do you do?" They're really saying, "I love you." I won't try to sing too much, but that's the tone we're going to try to set for this class. That is, trying to show approval for one another, even if we don't necessarily approve of what other people are saying. We're going to disagree, but we're going to learn the tools to help us disagree constructively. We're also going to separate out those things that are simply our preferences, those things that we will never agree about, and those things that are simple facts or understood truths about how the world works, how different systems are causally related to one another. That way, when we do talk about our disagreements, we can at least be talking intelligently about the same things instead of talking past one another. This is an important part of my own research agenda: sympathetic exchange and social agreement. We can talk more about my research in the future. Each of us has peculiar preferences. I like my ice cream when you put it in the microwave for 9 seconds so that it's just a little bit melted, and then I like to put chocolate sprinkles on top. I like early 1990s Christian alternative rock music, mostly because that's what I grew up listening to, even though I don't necessarily agree with the lyrics most of the time. I like Hatch green chili on my pizza, on my hamburgers, on my eggs, basically anywhere you normally use ketchup. Now, you don't have to agree with my preferences. In economics, we have a phrase for that: de gustibus non est disputandum. We'll talk about that again in the future. So, I just want to open up all of those ideas to you. We're going to go through more of them. The next video will be about the syllabus. A little bit more about me. I live in Muncie. I sometimes ride my bike or the city bus, so you might see me there. I'm available to meet on Zoom whenever I'm not in class. However, I do have my own work to do, so it is better if you schedule an appointment through an email to meet online during posted office hours. I'm available to talk about your coursework, to talk about your ideas for a new business you might be starting. I'm available to talk about your new baby. I'm available to talk about whatever. If you need someone to talk to, my virtual door is open. I'm teaching 4 sections this semester, and so I'm pretty busy. Well, how am I useful to you? What is my value added? The answer is that I'm here to provide feedback on the work that you produce and turn into me, to diagnose when you have a misunderstanding, to redirect you as to how to move forward successfully, to talk about other questions or additional lines of understanding that are not necessarily imperative to this course, but that you're curious about. You should have a good understanding coming into this class of how to draw graphs. If you don't remember how to draw supply and demand graphs, you might want to go back and review. But when you study, it is a good idea to draw every single graph that you are presented with, whether it's in the textbook, in class, or on the videos. Draw every single graph. Draw them all twice, because graphs are the language, the rhetoric of economics. So it's important that you learn to draw the graphs. Pay special attention to what labels go on the axes of those graphs. You're going to need good organization and discipline for this class. There is a lot of reading for this class. Students are often surprised at how much reading I assign. Don't get behind. The material for this course is cumulative. If you miss a section, then the next section won't make any sense. You might have a bad week and not be able to study for a week, but if you miss something, you have to go back and make it up. If you do get a little bit behind, let me know right away, and I'm willing to work with you as much as I possibly can. You're going to need to be able to use Excel, PowerPoint, and Word in this class. I'm going to require assignments in each of those formats. You can use Google Docs too, as long as I can read them in those formats. And you're going to be required to do research online. Now, there are a lot of things on Canvas. A lot of them are the same exact stuff that is there for every single class, but some details are different. Take the time to look over it all. I will point out some of the important details. You can look at the syllabus to see the pace of the course, what we're going to do and when. If you stay 2 days ahead of that pace, you should be fine, but don't get behind. For my intro students, ECON 202, there is an online homework program called Achieve that comes with online access to the textbook and videos. A big portion of the grade is related to those Achieve assignments, and there are due dates. And I don't answer questions about an online assignment on the day that that assignment is due. So try to complete your assignments 2 days ahead of the due date to avoid that problem. We will meet in person 1 out of 3 days for now. I posted which day to be in person in an email, and we'll post it also to Canvas. If you have a preference among the days that you would like to come to class, I'll try to accommodate you. The other 2 days that you're not in class, you're going to watch recorded lectures and videos that are a part of the curriculum. In-person meetings are going to focus on the most important concepts of the course and practicing using the tools of the course. Well, a little bit more about me. I finished my PhD in 2019 at George Mason University. I've been teaching for about 10 years at the university level, and before that I taught middle school and high school. So I have a lot of experience teaching. I worked at the United States International Trade Commission in Washington, D.C. I worked as a consultant in some large lawsuits, sometimes involving billions of dollars. I was an advisor on trade policy to Dr. Ben Carson when he ran for president. I also advised Jeanine Lee Lake when she ran for Congress. And then I represented the libertarian point of view during a 2020 election panel on manufacturing. So Republican, Democrat, Libertarian, how do I do that? Well, I don't vote. And I think that lets me be a little bit more objective. The first thing that you should do, if you have not already, is if you're an Econ 202 course, buy that Achieve subscription. If you want to buy a hard copy of the textbook, you can, but there is access to the book online through that software. Okay, that's all I have for you for now. I'm looking forward to meeting each and every one of you. Thank you and welcome to the course.